All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some incredibly fascinating lecture notes from teacher Lin Mingxiang. We're going to trace a very deliberate path through his synthesis of classic Buddhist sutras. Basically, we're starting way up in the clouds with the abstract philosophy of visual consciousness, and we're going to bring it all the way down to earth into a highly concrete, real-world practice for healing known as the Amitabha Elixir. It is quite the journey, so let's get started.
To kick things off, Teacher Lin actually points us to a really provocative question the Buddha asked his disciple Ananda in the Shurangama Sutra. He asked, "You should contemplate this wondrous bright seeing. What is its essence?" And this really makes you stop and think. He's challenging us to look at the literal act of seeing itself. Not the stuff we're looking at, but the nature of the observer doing the looking. It's a huge shift in perspective, right?
Which brings us to Section 1, the mystery of visual consciousness.
So, teacher Lin breaks down the Buddha's logic here beautifully. Think about it. If our ability to see was entirely dependent on light as its core essence, well, the second you walked into a pitch-black room, your ability to see would just vanish. You wouldn't even be able to experience or see the darkness. And the exact same logic applies to emptiness versus obstruction. This simple fact that we can perceive both light and dark means our inherent seeing nature doesn't actually depend on external conditions. Teacher Lin Mingxiang tells us we really need to contemplate this, that visual consciousness itself is the nature of seeing. Now, to map this out, teacher Lin explains that our self-nature manifests in 10 specific ways depending on where it's located. So in the womb, it's the body. In the world, it's a human being. But look at the sensory ones. In the ear, it's auditory. In the nose, it's olfactory. You get the idea. But here is the critical takeaway from teacher Lin's notes. Out of all of these, the gateway through visual consciousness through the eye is absolutely the easiest one for us to enter for spiritual realization.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Lin Mingxiang explains the Chan, or Zen, school's take on this. Since everything we see never actually departs from our visual consciousness, the seer and the seen, they aren't two separate things. It's wild to think about. He says that visual consciousness is the Buddha. What is seen is the Dharma, and the non-duality, the unity of those two, is the Sangha. So he's taking our everyday, ordinary sensory experience and elevating it to what's called the three treasures of one's own mind, or the Buddha of self-nature.
Moving on to Section 2, Mind's Treasures and Non-Discrimination. Okay, so drawing from the Sixth Patriarch's Platform Sutra, teacher Lin explains what it means to truly see. The secret sauce here is understanding this core concept of non-discrimination. Basically, it means stopping that endless mental habit of categorizing everything into good or evil, right or wrong. When you cut off those branching, diluted thoughts, you naturally enter this pure, calm, incredibly still essence of mind. Lin Mingxiang points out that when you do this, your inherent Tathagata wisdom naturally surfaces. Ultimately, your own innate Buddha nature steps up to back you up. That leads us right into Section 3, Amitabha's Elixir, the six-syllable name.
So, philosophy is great and all, but how do we actually do this in real life? This is where teacher Lin Mingxiang's teachings get super practical. He tells us that this high-level, abstract state of non-discrimination is actually achieved through something incredibly simple, reciting Namo Amitabha Buddha with your tongue root. He says that after searching for countless kalpas, this simple recitation is the ultimate road home. It acts as a master key, the profound practice of prajnaparamita that literally unlocks thousands of sutras and treatises.
And the scale of this is just staggering. Teacher Lin highlights that a single, sincere recitation doesn't just wipe out a few hours of bad karma or even a few lifetimes. No, it eradicates 80 billion kalpas of birth and death offenses. 80 billion kalpas. Try wrapping your head around a timeline that massive, and it's wiped clean by this one single practice.
Now, you might be wondering, why Amitabha Buddha specifically? Why not someone else? Well, Lin Mingxiang is crystal clear about this. Out of all the Buddha lands, Amitabha is uniquely capable of this kind of massive salvation because of his specific vow power, primarily the 18th Great Vow. Amitabha literally staked his own perfect enlightenment on a guarantee anyone who recites his name even 10 times will be born in his land. That vow is the powerful engine driving this entire practice.
Let's look at Section 4, True Reliance in Surgery. To show how real this is, teacher Lin's notes include a deeply moving testimony from someone named Folan. Folan was facing the terrifying uncertainty of the operating room, once in 2019 and again in 2026. But instead of that gripping panic we'd all probably feel, They experienced this profound peace. They described it as having the most trusted person right by their side, quiet and steady. It gave them a sense of groundedness that even their closest family members couldn't provide in that exact moment.
So why does a practitioner like Full-On feel so profoundly supported? Teacher Lin uses Master Shandao's 3 affinities to explain this exactly. First, you have closeness. When you recite, the Buddha is literally in your heart, closer than your own children. Second is nearness. The Buddha is never far away, whether you're sitting in your living room or lying in a hospital ward. And third, enhancing conditions. This means the Buddha is providing actual, tangible strength and real support precisely at those critical life-or-death moments.
But teacher Lin Mingxiang brilliantly shifts our perspective right here. He reminds us that, sure, surviving a major surgery feels massive to us, but for Amitabha Buddha, an operating table is a pretty small matter. The real focus, the great matter, is our swift impermanence, the relentless cycle of birth and death. Because in the blink of an eye, the next life is already here. So the ultimate goal of relying on this elixir isn't just getting through a successful medical procedure, it's about escaping the cycle of rebirth completely.
And this brings us to our final section, Section 5, Turning Suffering into Lotus.
Teacher Lin shares a really visceral, intense story here about layperson Chen Yudong. This man was battling 6 cancerous tumors in his abdomen. Just unimaginable suffering. The lecture notes detail how both Western and Chinese medicines were completely powerless to help him. His only relief? Desperately clinging to Amitabha Buddha. The notes say that the absolute split second he stopped reciting, the agony would just rush right back in, his body burning like fire, his heart twisting like a knife.
And this perfectly illustrates the wild duality of his experience during this crisis. On one hand, you have this extreme physical agony, blazing flames and deep terror ravaging his body. But on the other hand, through single-minded recitation, he achieved complete mental peace. Lin Mingxiang explains that in response to the recitation, the Buddha actually sprinkles the sweet dew of great compassion, this Dharma water, throughout the practitioner's body.
To back this up, Teacher Lin quotes a beautiful promise from the Infinite Life Sutra, "For all fears, I will bring great peace." When that Dharma water penetrates every pore and marrow, something incredible happens. A profound separation occurs. The physical pain and the mental consciousness quietly detach from one another. So while his body was going through intense pain, his mind was totally at peace, dwelling in the lotus land of ultimate bliss.
That is exactly why Lin Mingxiang calls this the ultimate elixir. He says that under the vast heavens, there's simply no second medicine that can compare to it. And honestly, the best part is how accessible it is. Think about it. It doesn't require any boiling, and it costs absolutely zero money. Just a single sincere thought, a single recitation of the name, is all you need to receive this supportive power. It can literally turn a sea of suffering into a lotus pond, transforming severe pain into cool refreshment.
So we've gone on quite the journey today, from the abstract nature of seeing all the way to the very real, raw edges of human suffering and spiritual relief, all guided by teacher Lin Mingxiang's profound notes. I want to leave you with this final thought. If a single sincere thought truly has the power to transform the ultimate agony into cool refreshment, how might you apply this simple ancient elixir in your own moments of deepest challenge? Take some time to reflect on that. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.